a session presented by Experience Abu Dhabi. Please welcome the Sector Marketing Director of the Department of Culture and Tourism, Abu Dhabi, Campbell, in conversation with Skift's research editor, Dan Marsek.
All right. Emma, welcome to the stage. Glad to have representation from Abu Dhabi here with us. So the fact that you're here means that there's got to be a lot of exciting stuff going on there. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the things you were most excited about? I say you personally, sure, but also, the DCT as a whole.
Yeah, okay, well, I think first to say this is not an Emirate accent. I am originally Scottish. I've been in Abu Dhabi for nearly 2 years. So I relocated there for the role with my husband and my 2 small kids. Abu Dhabi is just a place that changes in positive ways on a daily basis. We have an absolutely fantastic destination, and Indian tourists are just so important to us as a destination. So the first thing to tell you about Abu Dhabi that a lot of people don't actually know, it's actually the largest emirate in the UAE, and it's got over 80% of the landmass. So if you look at a map, it's actually huge. And what we have with that is that we've got an incredibly diverse landscape. It's not just the city that we're known for, with the theme parks and all that entertainment. It's not just the desert. We have the best beach in the Middle East in Saadiyat. We have Al Ain region, which is the birthplace of Sheikh Zayed, and that has a very lush landscape. We also have Al Dhafra, which is further out, which has fantastic desert landscape, but also a really thriving marine landscape as well. We have multiple different islands, and the snorkeling and everything is fantastic. So there's a lot to do in Abu Dhabi. It's not just about a 2-3 day trip. It's no longer just a stopover destination. It's certainly a place where travelers can come for a week and have an amazing time. We are highly ambitious, and I don't say that lightly. We launched our tourism strategy last year. So we're looking to go from 23 million visitors to 40 million visitors by 2030. With that, international visitors are just fundamental. We've been marketing previously in 11 markets. We've now moved to 27 markets. So pretty busy back there in the office, lots going on. But in terms of our proposition, we have 2 key things that's really important to us as a destination. The first thing is entertainment. If anybody's been to Abu Dhabi, we have excellent theme parks. I had dinner last night with some trade partners who all, couldn't wait to tell me their favorite of our Abu Dhabi theme parks. We also have an excellent events calendar, and I'll talk more about that later. But what's really at the heart of who we are is culture. As I mentioned, we have this huge landmass and different regions within Abu Dhabi. We have a lot of history, and really it's the birthplace of the UAE, and therefore the history behind that journey is really evident in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi has a certain feeling, and I hear a lot of people say as they drive from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, they kind of feel their shoulders relax a bit because it's a really relaxing place. It's quite down to earth. It's not as hectic as some of the neighbouring Emirates, which also have very much their own benefits. And then I think what's incredibly important is this year our Saadiyat Cultural District is progressing significantly. We opened the Louvre Abu Dhabi in 2017. We're welcoming over 1 million visitors a year. But moving forward, this year is a big year for Saadiyat Cultural District. I firmly believe we're going to have the best cultural district in the world. 18th of April, we're opening Team Lab Phenomena, an immersive art experience coming out of Japan. And towards the end of the year, inshallah, we'll also be looking at opening our Natural History Museum and Zayed National Museum, with the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi following closely. So huge, big year for the destination.
So obviously there's a lot of exciting things going on. So we're here, this forum, we've been talking a lot about outbound tourism. Everything that you've been talking about, what does that have to do with the Indian traveler, and how are they playing a role in the growth of the destination?
So India remains our top source market. So visitors from India are just incredibly important for us. In 2024, we had 360,000 hotel guests, which was up 43%
Wow.
versus the year before. This year, we're expecting over 400,000. So I know that there's growth generally in Indian outbound travel. We're seeing that our growth is increasing even that, which is just so great to see. A lot of that's driven by increased air capacity, but it's also driven a lot by trends. And it's been really heartwarming to hear from the different speakers today that a lot of the trends that have been mentioned are the same things as we are seeing. The first one is live tourism. We have a lot of events, thriving event calendar. There's pretty much something on every weekend. I have to pick my poison some weekends. What am I going to do? Because there's just so much happening. We're seeing Indian travellers come to Abu Dhabi for those events. Coldplay was a great example. So even though Coldplay were coming to India, we had lots of people travel to Abu Dhabi and make a weekend of it for that particular trip. We're seeing cultural tourism increase. And as mentioned, we have our cultural district coming together. But I think since the pandemic, people are really craving those immersive experiences to really go deeper into a destination. And you really have that opportunity in Abu Dhabi. So that's a major trend. Other two trends to mention is solo traveling. Lots of people coming on their own, lots of females traveling on their own. Such a safe destination. I always tell my friends in Scotland and Australia, I can go for a run at 10 o'clock at night, pitch dark, and I feel perfectly safe. And as a woman, there's not many places that you can say that. So it's really, that feeling of safety is very, very comforting for travellers on their own. And then the last thing is multi-generation travel. I've heard a lot about that today. We're seeing people travel with extended families, group travel, and that's a key trend that we're leaning into. We love that because bigger group size obviously means more visitors, which is fabulous for us.
Yeah, that's great. So obviously that kind of talks about where we are right now. So let's talk a little bit more about the trajectory as well. I've got some good Skift research statistics to share. Actually, in one of my earlier sessions, I mentioned that we did a study with Indian travelers, Chinese travelers, US, UK, Germany, and of all of those, Indian travelers were the most eager to travel. So 82% said they were definitely going to travel this year versus 70% about on average for the survey. They travel the most frequently. They're traveling 4 times a year versus 3 last year. They're spending the most, so 14% more than 2024 and 2025 versus about 7 to 9% more in these other markets. And finally, we already discussed outbound. 36% of Indian travelers said that international travel was very important to them. So I talk about all of this. You mentioned all these different demographics, these different market segments. Yeah. What are you doing to attract them? How are you going to build on what you already have and take advantage of these opportunities going forward?
We're very lucky in the Indian market that we have very high brand awareness, but we do not take that for granted. So we do make sure that we're incredibly visible. We are always on from a marketing perspective in the Indian market. And we work very closely with our celebrity ambassador. Rafat did ask if I could bring him along today. Unfortunately, he was busy. But that's Ranveer Singh. So we've been working with him for a few years. And the best thing about Ranveer is he actually genuinely loves the destination. So you can see that coming through in terms of the content that we're creating with him. The Abu Dhabi ecosystem also works very closely together. So we work very closely with Etihad, our airline partner, as well as Yas Island. And I'm sure you've all seen the recent Yas Island campaign that they did, which is very well received. So that's really great because they're attracting a different type of traveller than what we're doing with our main Abu Dhabi campaigns. So we're just working really closely together to make sure we can hit as many demographics as possible. We also work with the media from a PR perspective. We host media in destination quite frequently so that they can really, we talk a lot about we have to show people our destination, not just tell them how awesome it is. So we're making sure that we're hosting as many media as possible. We also tend to find that when we do some fun stuff, it really captures the Indian imagination and people enjoy seeing some of our more innovative and PR-led campaigns. Last year in summer, we did a summer summit where we invited 20 people called Summer from all over the world to come and enjoy Abu Dhabi during the summer months. We did have an Indian traveller. He was our only male who came. But that in itself, because it was a quirky and fun sort of concept, it really captured the imagination, and we got lots and lots of media coverage because of that.
That's great. Well, the good news is we have an example of one of these campaigns. If we can pull up the video, we'll take a minute to watch this, and then we can talk about it.
Abu Dhabi. Good morning. Good morning, Mamu. चले Abu Dhabi.
रुको, शॉपिंग का क्या सीन है?
Good morning. बस क्या मामी, it's Abu Dhabi. Looking like a wow, Mommy. Good morning.
Film chat. What's the entertainment search?
बच्चा लोग.
Who's Superman? Listen up.
परंपरा, प्रतिष्ठा. आओ.
Ranveer, what about the party scene?
रुको जरा, सब्र करो.
क्या चल रहा है?
बुआ, सब अबू धाबी चल रहे हैं. हबीबीज, तो आप कब लाओगे फैमिली को अबू धाबी?
So even without understanding a word of that, I really enjoyed it. So why is that a good example of kind of bringing all these different things to life?
So I think for us, this one was a bit leaning into the multi-generational travel. We heard from travelers when we were researching that they do a lot of that group travel through WhatsApp groups now. I'm sure everyone's in a WhatsApp group with family. I know I certainly am in multiple ones. So really it was a bit leaning into how people travel, how people plan travel, but also just having a bit of fun. We lean into the Hinglish, as we call it back in the office, just because it adds that additional sort of relatability and the sort of charm and authenticity. And with that campaign, we also have sort of other content like sticker packs and gifts so that we can continue the conversation in other ways. So yeah, it's going really well.
Yeah, that's excellent. So kind of last question I have for you, and this is an important one.
Yeah.
How can the folks in the audience and in the industry, how can they work with DCT and with the destination to take advantage of a lot of these huge opportunities?
So I think first thing I'm going to do is just ask my colleague Nikhil to give you all a wave. So Nikhil is our country manager in India. He has looked after me beautifully the last few days. I've had such a fantastic time. So please, if you do want to learn a bit more about working with Abu Dhabi, have a chat with Nikhil. I had dinner last night with some trade partners, which was just fantastic. I do think that the trade in India are some of the most dynamic, innovative, and energetic that I've ever met. There was just so many great ideas flying around the table, so it was highly enjoyable. But over the last year, we've done 26 joint marketing partnerships with Indian partners, so people like Make My Trip and Thomas Cook India. Extensive outreach in terms of travel agents. So we've actually trained 5,000 travel agents so that they're upskilled in Abu Dhabi and can sell it really effectively. We've done 70 training sessions across 26 cities. We have annual roadshows here in India. We've hosted agents. So again, the principle of let's show people, not tell them. So we host agents in Abu Dhabi so that they get this deeper understanding of the product that we've got. And last year, for the first time, we did an APAC travel market, and that was actually in the Alain region, again, so that we can show that diversity of our destination and really encourage people to not just come to Abu Dhabi city, but move around the Emirate a bit more comprehensively.
That's excellent. So obviously a lot to talk about here, but our time is up. So thank you, Emma. Really great to have you. Please reach out and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.